If you run a healthcare organization and you have a site that seems to keep losing staff or having trouble recruiting, I want to ask you one question before you blame the shortage of workers. Have you actually talked to the people on the ground? Not the manager, not just looking at the reports, not the summary that someone put together before it got to your desk. I'm talking about the actual people, the community, the ones who live and work right around that facility. Because what you find there might be completely different from what your data shows. And that gap is one of the most dangerous things I've seen in healthcare. This is a story I lived, and it changed how I see everything. Hi, I'm Diane. I spent over 25 years as a nurse and nurse practitioner before I became a healthcare leadership architect, system advisor, and patient-centered leader. This is the Roots of Change podcast, where we explore the invisible patterns that shape everything visible in our lives, our leadership, our relationships, and our systems. The idea underneath all of it is simple. Those with power must be responsible to those with less. And the work is about helping healthcare leaders, individuals, and systems find the courage to tell the truth about what is really running underneath the surface. Because what we can see clearly and what we are willing to look at honestly is what we are able to change. That is the work we do here together. I was brought in to help a healthcare executive figure out why a rural facility could not seem to keep its staff. The jobs kept getting posted over and over. Every time the executive asked what was going on, the answer was the same. It's a rural facility. People don't want to move there. There's not enough workers and the market is tough. That all sounded reasonable. And so the executive kept trying things from their place. Better pay, maybe some bonuses or ideas for partnering with training programs, and nothing worked. When I got involved, I asked a simple question. What do you actually know about this facility from the community's point of view, from the people who live right there? And the answer was basically not much. So I went and talked to the people myself. And what I found had never shown up in any report. There was plenty of people in that community who could work in healthcare. They had the training. They were actually looking for work. They were right there. They just would not apply to that facility. Because in a small town, people talk. At the grocery store, at the hockey rink, at the coffee shop on a Sunday morning, word gets around about which places treat people well and which ones don't. The message just spreads because people share what they have lived through. And what people in the community had heard about that facility kept them away. What was really happening inside was that a manager was running the place through fear. Staff who spoke up got pushed into silence. People who pushed back faced consequences that were never written down anywhere, but were real enough that everyone knew what they were. So the team went quiet, and then they started leaving. And when they left, they told people why. The community knew. They had known for a long time. The executives sitting at the top had no idea. They really cared. But here's the thing. By the time the information reached them, it had already been changed at every level on the way up. So the fear became, quote, a staffing challenge. The toxic manager became, quote, someone dealing with difficult staff. The silence of a whole team became, quote, communication issue being worked on. And the community staying away became some kind of, quote, rural recruitment problem that needed a better package. When I brought back what I had actually found, the executive was genuinely shocked. This was not what they had been told. And yet, the people in that community had known for a long time. So here's what I want you to sit with if you're leading a healthcare organization right now. The things that you are seeing, the open positions that never get filled, the staff who keep leaving, the patient complaints that keep coming from the same place, the teams that have gone quiet, the manager who always seems to have trouble with their staff. These are not separate problems, they are signals. And the real story behind them is almost never what the explanation says. When the same jobs keep getting posted, ask, what is that workplace known for in that community? When staff keep leaving, ask, what are they actually leaving? Because it's often not healthcare itself. When complaints keep coming from one site, ask, what kind of culture has been building there? And when a team goes quiet, ask what happened that taught them that silence was safer than speaking. The information that could actually fix the problem is already there. It's sitting with the staff member who stopped speaking up. It is sitting with that nurse who was treated so badly that going back into that building feels traumatizing to her now. Her story is even in my book with her permission because what happened to her matters and needs to be spoken. It's sitting with the people in the community who decided not to apply because they had already heard enough. And it's sitting with the patients who'd had a bad experience and never complained because they had never seen any sign that anyone would actually listen. By the time a leadership problem shows up in your numbers, it's usually been growing for a long time. The empty position is the end of a story that started with someone trying to speak up and being shut down. The complaint is the surface of something that has been building underneath. And the person who left, that's the final chapter of something that started much earlier. So leaders who are truly patient-centered do not wait for the numbers to tell them what the people on the ground already know. They ask different questions. Instead of asking why the jobs are not being filled, they ask, what is this place known for? Instead of asking how to handle the difficult staff situation, they ask, what kind of environment is producing that situation? Instead of asking how to close this complaint, they ask, hey, what is that complaint actually showing us about how care is being delivered? Then they go and find out for themselves. They talk to the people doing the work. They make it genuinely safe to tell the truth. And they actually listen to what comes back, even when it's hard to hear. That is real leadership. And it's the work that protects patients before things get to a point of crisis. If this episode felt relevant to what you are dealing with right now, this is exactly the work that Roots of Change exists to do. Helping healthcare executives see what's really happening underneath the surface before hidden problems become real patient care problems. If you are a senior healthcare leader and this resonates with your organization, I would love to have a conversation. Send me a direct message with the word Roots, and I will share the next step. The link to reach me is in the description box and the show notes wherever you're listening or watching. Thank you so much for being here today, and I will see you on the next episode. Remember, the more power we hold, the more responsibly we must use it. Power is not demonstrated by control. It is demonstrated by how we care for those with less.